Google searches on Americans moving to Canada have shot up since the election of Donald Trump. In this video, we go over some of the reasons why you might choose Canada, and we look at the ways that you can legally move here. Many Americans are showing growing interest in moving to Canada. Meanwhile, many Canadians are looking at ways at how they can get out. I did a whole video on that. You can watch that here. If you're thinking of moving to Canada, you're not alone. With the recent presidential election results in the US, many Americans are exploring their options north of the border, with Google searches for Americans moving to Canada shooting up 1,270%. This even includes some celebrities such as Sharon Stone, Cher, and Jimmy Kimmel, who have been vocal about leaving if a certain somebody were to win, which he did. So while many Canadians are threatening to leave Canada because of our own fearless leader, the eloquent Justin Trudeau,
or speaking moistly on them,
our US counterparts are wondering what it would be like to come to the land of maple syrup. Is it all poutine and pleasantries? Well, today we're breaking down the reasons why you might want to make Canada your new home, and I'll give you a few that might make you think twice. My name is Morgan Little. I'm a realtor here in the Greater Toronto area, and this video is to give you an honest look of what it's really like to live up here in the Great White North. Hey there, bud? So grab your snowshoes and let's dive in. Like I said, I'll talk about some of the ways that you can actually come to Canada at the end of the video, so be sure to stick around. If there's ever anything I can do to help in your journey, feel free to book a call using the Calendly link in the description below, and I look forward to connecting. But first, let's talk about why Americans are considering Canada as opposed to Australia or New Zealand, which had similar search result increases after the election. Well, for starters, we're your hockey playing neighbors to the north, just a hop, skip, and a jump over the frozen pond. Though some of you may still think we live in igloos with dial-up internet, many Americans, especially those we share a border with, know that the lifestyle and climate can be quite similar to the ones they're used to, with some minor differences, including Canada's universal publicly funded healthcare system. Canadians have always somewhat famously enjoyed universal healthcare, meaning that most of our healthcare services are covered by the government through taxpayer money, of course. If you're coming from the US, where healthcare costs can be sky high, this can be a huge benefit. No more worrying about massive medical bills just for basic care. Though I will caveat this by saying historically our healthcare system has treated us well, but like many things in Canada have begun to suffer in recent years. Long wait times and overwhelmed emergency rooms have led to a decrease in the quality of care. Rapid increase in population and health professionals not wanting to stay in a strained system have exacerbated this issue, particularly in more remote areas of the country. I will say we are very lucky to have had this system growing up, but it's gotten kind of to the point where it's a you get what you pay for kind of scenario. Number two, political stability. This one's tough to say with a straight face, and I'll explain. Historically, Canada has tended to be one of the most politically stable countries, and this would be one of the more attractive factors, I imagine, for Americans who may be fleeing the US because they feel the electoral process isn't representing them. That being said, though we have been quote unquote stable for many years, the vast majority of Canadians, including members of his own Liberal Party, have a severe dislike for our current Prime Minister of the last 9 years, with multiple scandals surrounding him and by far the worst economy we've ever experienced in this country. It's no wonder. But I will say he does have this uncanny ability to smile and wave in the face of people telling him off. It's one of his greatest talents.
Mr. Prime Minister, yeah. Please get the DC.
have a wonderful day, man.
Yeah, you suck.
Our next federal election is scheduled for October 2025, and it's basically a foregone conclusion that the Conservatives, led by Pierre Poilievre, will take over. So if you are coming here because we have a Liberal government in place, just know that that's likely to change in the near future. Number three, high quality of life and safety. Canada consistently ranks high on global quality of life indexes, with access to high quality public services, great schools, and safe neighborhoods. Violent crime rates are lower in Canada compared to the US, mainly because of our gun laws, and in general, Canadians tend to feel safe even in big cities. I can attest to this after living in Toronto for many years, with the exception of some areas, feels very safe. I will counter this with the fact that our overall quality of life has declined in recent years, with the cost of living steadily rising to unsustainable levels for many Canadians, especially those in Toronto and Vancouver. It's tough to quantify, as the consumer price index data that we receive receive is being manipulated to show that inflation is now under control. But if you ask the average Canadian how they feel on a day-to-day basis, they'll tell you they've really felt the pinch over the last number of years, particularly in the housing market, where the average home price in Toronto being well over $1 million, though there are many cities in Canada where you can find something much cheaper. I'll stop with all the doom and gloom, but first I must mention taxes in Canada, where the marginal tax rates tend to be higher than the US. This is dependent on the province you live in, but keep in mind this is one of the reasons why we're able to have things like universal health care. Number 4, beautiful nature and outdoor activities. One of the most celebrated aspects of Canada is its natural beauty. If you're a fan of hiking, skiing, or simply soaking in scenic views, Canada has plenty to offer. From coast to coast, there are mountains, forests, and lakes just waiting to be explored. But if you're coming from Florida or California or Texas, be prepared. Much of Canada has a winter that you're not used to. While most of us don't actually live in igloos, cold and snow is a reality for many Canadian cities in the winter. You've been warned. Number 5, educational opportunities. Canada has a highly respected education system and is home to some top-tier universities. The University of Toronto, McGill, and the University of British Columbia, just to name a few. Many Americans come to Canada for the education and wind up staying for the welcoming culture and career opportunities. However, from what I understand, on average, Canadian university tuition fees are 27% more economical than tuition fees at many US universities, but the cost of living may be higher here, so you have to weigh your options. So there you have 5 reasons why you might want to move to Canada, plus a couple that might make you rethink it. Now, let's talk about the immigration process. Immigrating to Canada can be complex, and it's not as simple as packing your bags. Canada has specific immigration requirements, and it's a process that can take time and planning. Whether you're applying through express entry, family sponsorship, or a work permit, be ready to navigate some red tape. So, what are the ways an American can move to Canada? Well, number 1 is family sponsorship. If you have a spouse or common law partner who is Canadian, they can sponsor you to come to the country. This is one of the most straightforward ways to immigrate if you meet the eligibility criteria. Number 2 is the IEC, or International Experience Canada Working Holiday. If you're between 18 and 35 and hold a passport from a qualifying country, you may qualify for an open work permit through Canada's Working Holiday program. This allows you to live and work in Canada for a period, often 1 to 2 years, making it a great option for young travelers. All you need is $2,500 in savings and health insurance for the duration of your stay. Number 3 is Express Entry. Express Entry is a popular points-based immigration program for skilled workers. Points are awarded based on factors like age, education, language proficiency, and work experience. Canada conducts targeted draws for specific skills, so if you're bilingual or in a high-demand occupation like healthcare, you may qualify with a lower score than other applicants. Number 4 is to study in Canada. Studying in Canada is a popular path to residency. After graduation, international students can often obtain a post-graduation work permit. After gaining Canadian work experience, graduates can apply for permanent residency through Express Entry, Canadian Experience Class, or other provincial programs. And number 5 is to have a job offer or a work permit. If you receive a job offer from a Canadian employer, you may qualify for a work permit. After gaining Canadian work experience, you can then apply for permanent residency through the Canadian Experience Class or a provincial nominee program. There are also some other options as well, including the Global Talent Stream and the Canada-US-Mexico Agreement, which has benefits for Americans when applying for a temporary work permit in Canada. I'll leave a link below to more details on all of these programs. But I do recommend doing your research and talking to qualified professionals before assuming that you qualify for any of these programs. Now, here's a couple tips for my American friends who are thinking about moving to Canada. Be sure to do your research and explore different cities and regions. Canada is vast, and each region has its unique lifestyles and benefits. Look into different provinces to find out what's the best fit for you. I mentioned this one earlier, prepare for the weather. Be prepared to invest in some good winter clothing and get ready for some cozy nights by the fire, especially depending on where you choose to live. Embracing the Canadian winter culture can make the cold that much more enjoyable. Learn about our healthcare and tax systems. Understanding Canada's healthcare system and how our taxes work will make your transition smoother. Remember, higher taxes also fund many of the benefits enjoyed by Canadians. And consider the different work and immigration options. I already mentioned this, but please do your research, talk to people, find out your best path for making your way into Canada. So, is Canada the right move for you? The decision is ultimately yours, but I hope this video has been helpful. Canada offers a high quality of life, stunning landscapes, and a welcoming community. But it also comes with its challenges like a high cost cost of living, a colder climate, especially in certain areas, and a complex immigration process. Again, if there's ever anything I can do to help in your journey, feel free to book a call using the Calendly link in the description below. Subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you on the next one.